You didn't look away. You didn't say, okay, I see someone over there. You just listened and you shook your head and you were like, okay. And you said to me, you was like, we need that passion. We need that enthusiasm. We need that level of excitement in the SCEA. And that was just like, are you serious? Like the SCEA needs me? Like I'm just me. Like how do you need me? And not only did you say that, at the conference, because honestly, after I signed up, I was like, oh, I'm sure they say that to everybody. Just I'm just gonna keep it real. But then for like a week later to get a phone call and they say, hey, Todd Schultz said he met you at the conference and okay, tell me about it. And then I just tell them about books and they're like, you know what? This is awesome.
Yeah.
I think we can do something with that. And then you followed up with a phone call and said, why don't you talk about books for me? I mean, it's just that whole notion of, and you don't hear this very often, where you weren't trying to tell me what the SCEA could do for me. You were talking about what I could give to the SCEA, and that was a difference. That's different.
Yeah.
That's saying like you just recognized that I was on a journey, anyway, but you just recognized that I was already a good educator and you thought, you know what, why don't you just join in and let's just grow together. That was it. The easiest yes I've ever said. Just when someone says you bring something to the table. And that's another thing that I love about the SCEA is that there's room at the table for everyone. Um, when I talk to our ESPs in my district, our very important education support professionals who are honestly the backbone of the school. I don't care what anybody says. You can't run a school without education support professionals. It will fall apart real fast. And so when I tell them, hey, your voice is important, and they're like, but I'm not a teacher. I'm like, because you're an education support professional. You're a professional, and your voice is just as important as my voice, as the principal's voice, as anyone's voice. They're in shock. They're in shock, but they join. And then I think what's really made the difference in the Oconee County Education Association is that I go to them and ask them questions. How are you? What's going on? What can I do? What do you need? And they're like, you're coming to me? And I'm like, because we're in this thing together. And that's the beauty of the SCEA. I mean, just like you told me that you wanted to hear, you wanted to see what I brought to the SCEA. We do that for everyone.
That's right.
Everybody's important. There is no hierarchy here. Everybody's important.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing. I think human beings have a tendency to want to navigate towards hierarchical structures, and when you're a union, really the voice of everybody in that union is important.
Yes.
And for me, I know early on in my education career, I didn't really see myself as a leader. I probably didn't see myself as a leader until I was about 9 or 10 years into the
Mm-hmm.
profession. But everybody who's working in a public school is a leader in one way or another and has the potential.
Yes.
It's like I think when you're sometimes what we do is we close the door and we think all we have to do is do what we do in our classroom or cafeteria or the library.
Right.
But and then we think somebody in Columbia is going to take care of my pay raises. Somebody in Columbia is
Mm.
going to take care of my working conditions. Somebody is going to fight back against these book bans. Somebody's going to fight back. And it's like, no, like the champion that you're waiting for is you. And that's what,
Yes.
and to me, that's the difference between the SCEA and some other organizations are where like we're saying, yes, we'll help you, but
Mm-hmm.
you've got to lead as well. And it's hard because teachers are so burdened right now and have so much on their plates that the idea of taking up this leadership role, it can be daunting. Talk.
But it's necessary. But
Yeah.
it's so necessary. I didn't understand the power that I had until I went to Columbia and met with just met with lawmakers. And I mean, they're just human beings. You're right. We put them on this high, like they don't have time to talk to us. Yes, they do. You're a voter. They do have to. They better make time to talk to you. And when I sat down and started talking to people, and I said, I can't tell you about every library, but I can tell you about my library. I
Mm.
can tell you about what I do in my school. I can tell you about my community. And this is why I feel this way. And this is why you should be concerned. And, whenever you're in town, you need to come and visit my school and see what we do before, we start listening to these blanket statements or these, ideas. Come see what we do first. Come see what we do. And I think you're right that, as educators, we wear a lot of hats, we do a lot of things, and we get exhausted very fast. But I'm very quick to tell people, if you don't think you're worth fighting for, don't expect other people to do it for you. And I also tell people, you control the narrative. I refuse to let someone who doesn't work in a library, I refuse to let someone who doesn't work in public education, I refuse to let someone who has never been in a classroom, in a cafeteria, on a school bus, tell me what it's like. We know we are the experts in this field, and our voices matter, and no one can tell our story like we can tell our story. And so we have to get out of this idea that, yes, Todd, well, he knows, he'll go tell our story for us. You will represent us well, Todd. I mean, I know you. There's so many people who will represent us well, and you'll do it with the utmost integrity. But no one can tell Cassie's story like Cassie can. And I have to make it a priority to get to Columbia, to jump on a podcast, to jump on a webinar, to let people know what it's like in public education. I don't shy away from the challenges, but I certainly want to talk about the strengths and the beauty and the power of public education as well. And there are too many people who just want to pinpoint problems. And there's too many people who have never, ever walked through the doors as an educator who are quick to talk about all these challenges and all these things. There's too many people who've never seen a student get a book and see their eyes light up and say, oh, this is me. I see myself. If you've never witnessed that, then
Yeah,
you don't know the power of that. And it's so easy for you to dismiss that because you don't know what it is. And so if I don't go and tell this story, who's going to tell it?
100%. Yeah. And that's why, when we created Cool, I remember Todd Jake, who's watching, he would remind me, it's like, I do, we do, you do. And I would think about that process about, okay, let me start off and like create some content here, get some things off the ground. But then I went out and I started to try to find people like you who had really passionate voices and really a talent for communicating truth and what was going on, the positive things going on, and just things that we need to be thinking about. And so you and Pete Stone, who's watching, and several other people had joined our Cool content creator team. And now we have a whole website. And for those of you watching, if you're not familiar with our website, I invite you to go over to cool.us and check out the website, including what Cassie's done. And Cassie does a whole series of videos called Cool Books. And I want to let you plug that right now. Here's the website you can go to right now. Cassie's videos, cool.us/books. Talk a little bit about that project and what you do and why you do that.
I love books. Books are my love language. When I work in a middle school and everybody says, oh, middle schoolers, and I love middle school. I just can't see me anyplace else. And there's just this special connection when you're talking to a student and they're going through a challenge or they're having a good day or just whatever it is. And you can give them a book, and you guys can kind of bond over a book. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, it's just magic. It really is magic. And I've got this group of students. We have a Project Lit Club. They've already emailed me. They've already told me what they want our theme to be for our first book club. And, they're giving me ideas. And there's just this joy that stems around having these books. It's an easy way to talk. You're not saying you have these problems or I have these problems. We're just talking about a character with these problems. We're talking about a character in this situation. And it just makes it all nice and comfortable for all of us to talk and share. I've seen relationships between students, between grade levels, between different cultures. They just blossom up over this shared love of books and these ideas. And I'll tell you something powerful that happened last year. At the end of last year, my Project Lit Club, we invited the superintendent, the city council, the mentors, the parents, anybody to come to this meeting and watch these kids talk, because I wasn't really a part of it. I just facilitate. It is student led and student driven, very much like the SCEA is educator led and educator driven. I let them have their space to talk and to do. And the adults were blown away. They said, these kids talk about this stuff. I'm like, yes, this is what happens when you give kids the freedom, the choice, and the voice to talk about books. They will teach you something, because I learn a lot from these students, and I learn a lot about the ways that they see themselves and the ways that they feel like adults see them. And it's just incredible. So I like to share books about Black history, from Black authors, from Hispanic authors, about trauma, about anxiety, LGBTQ, pride. I like to share books that I feel like represent our communities. They just represent who we are. They're just so beautiful. They're absolutely amazing. And because, like I said, I mean, I just love that. The NEA has the Read Across America calendar. A lot of the books that I use come from that calendar. And they have that at the elementary, middle, and high school level. I usually get all three books because I love all the books, and it's just a wonderful way to share across the state. One of the biggest compliments I got was I was at the SCASL conference, the South Carolina Association of School Librarians conference, and this librarian just runs across and she says, you're Cassie Owens Moore. And I was like, yes, I am. I don't know if I owe you money or something. What's going on? And she said, I watched your video about picture books for Black history, and I bought those books. And she said, and it changed my classroom. It changed everything, because I didn't know what books to buy, and I didn't know that I didn't even know I needed to do that. She said, I don't have a diverse school, but that was really important. So she's like, thank you for that. Now, that was it for me. I was like, okay, I will continue to make these videos. I often joke and I say the only people who watch these videos are me and my mom and two of her friends. But you know what? You have greater reach than you think. And if only one person is watching it, if it's the right person, then there you go. You change your community. So you don't, it was just, that's just important to me. And so I will continue to do that for as long as I can. There are always incredible books coming out. And it just gives me a good reason to buy more.
Yeah. I think what you're doing is a really good antidote. So what I mean by that is there are these people out here who want to ban books and who also somehow have a problem with diversity, inclusiveness, equity. That DEI is somehow like a branding label of something horrible. When in truth, and Melody pointed this out, that she said students deserve to see themselves within the pages of a book, and this means that we have to value diversity in the books and in our materials and the way we approach things, and even in our hiring practices, we have to have value diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I don't understand how that became those things became bad words. I
changed them. I don't. You know what? I took those words back. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, I call developing, equipping, and influencing now. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Developing, equipping, and influencing. You are developing a diverse community, because these kids are not going to grow up in a bubble. The world is
Right.
way too global. I mean, we are global now. So I am developing students who can recognize the power of different cultures and different ideas, and understand that I'm equipping them with the tools they need to be able to communicate and to work with people who may not look and think like them. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you create influencers. I'm an influencer. I read a lot of different books. I'm in my library, I'm trying to influence other people to read a lot of different books. It's okay. It's okay. But I just got so angry about the way that DEI was just this weapon. And I said, nope, we're going to develop, equip, and influence. And then I'm just done with it. So now that's just, when I hear DEI, that's exactly what I
Yeah.
think.
And I think sometimes, and I'm really guilty of this, sometimes we get so caught up in fighting back and it's like critiquing the other side.
Mhm.
We're not offering a positive vision for what it looks like when you actually encourage young people
Right,
to
right.
read books, read diverse books, and explore and think about inclusivity and things like that. I mean, this is like, that's why I'm saying this is an antidote, because yes, we do need to take a specific look at the policy and figure out how do we fight back against it, how do we challenge it
Mhm.
philosophically, legally, but also like people gravitate to a positive vision for what could be. And I think one of the beautiful things that you do in your in the cool books series that you do is you don't spend a lot of time critiquing.
Yeah.
You uplift the things that are good, and I think that's something that I know I need to do more. I've been reflecting on that a lot about my style of leadership, which is I want to be that hammer against these really unjust policies, but I do think it's important that we marry that to a positive vision of what we actually do believe in and are fighting for, not just what we're fighting against.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that is, you know, for in my head, sometimes I can get really negative. I can. Um, when I see all the book, but I mean, it just hurts. It just hurts. I don't know. I grew up in a time when I was in school, there weren't any books with black girls in it. There not very many, and if they were, it was a very stereotypical. It was gang affiliated, or it was just such a negative. They were very poor. It was, post slavery or in slavery. You didn't see all these, you didn't see strong, smart black, girls in books.
Mm.
And so it breaks my heart to see people saying, we don't need this, that. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We need that, because I needed that. And I didn't even know that might be the reason why I'm so in love with middle grades and young adult books now, because what you mean, you read Legendborn, you read all of these books, Knit Blake and the Revelers, you see all, and the Remarkables, you see all these books with these kids in it that look like you, and you're like, where were you when I was in sixth grade? Where were you when I was in high school? And so I just read them all and read them all. And one of my students last year, we read Ivelez Explains It All, and part of the book was written in Spanish and some of it was written in English. Like when she was, I think, speaking to her mom or thinking her thoughts, it would be in Spanish. And this little girl just tearfully said, it's the first time I'm like, I'm reading a book and it's not a Spanish book. It's a book, but it's just
Mm.
interwoven in there. She loved that book so much I had to buy it for her. She was never going to turn it in. And so I just bought it for her. She loved that book. She felt seen. And I thought, this is it. This is it.
Mm.
This
Yep.
is what this is all about. You've got to let people feel seen and understand that there's nothing wrong with being multilingual. That's a really strong thing to have. And there's nothing wrong with being of two cultures, being bicultural. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with with having a different identity. There's nothing wrong with that. That you are just fine, and that there's a book for you, and we can read it, and we can celebrate it, and we can go on. And that's what propels me. I don't want another student to walk through a library and think, man, I don't exist. I
Yeah.
just don't exist. Like I'm nowhere. And I remember feeling that way. I gravitated to Beverly clearly because I was the younger sister and I was a pest. And so Ramona the pest was about as close as I could get to seeing myself. But I mean, it would have been incredible to find a little black girl in a book. And I refuse to let um, any student come through my library and say,
Mm,
there's nothing in here for me.
right. We've talked a little bit about this, and one of the sort of downsides of leadership is it's really easy to become discouraged, and for a variety of reasons, whether it's like you're leading and you're getting critiqued, or
Mhm.
you're leading and you feel like you're not making a difference, or maybe things are getting worse despite your leadership, or you're just tired. You're just like, I've been leading and leading and I'm just tired and I need a break. Can you talk a little bit about the discouragement that you've experienced and how you deal with that?
Yeah, this past year was a tough year. Just a lot of the changes that happened. You just, I'm part of the board for SCASL, for the South Carolina Association of School Librarians. I watched some really, good people get torn down in the news and that, and I watched them cry, and they're like the strongest people I know.
Yeah.
So when they got emotional, and I thought, oh man, it really must be, it's getting bad. And then so I got discouraged. A lot of us, got discouraged. And then, I'm a local leader. Our local is not the biggest. Sometimes, I put my heart into events, and you only have like two or three people show up, and then you kind of feel like, what am I doing this all for? Um, Fortunately, my mom is, first of all, and I don't know if my mom's watching, but hi, mom. My mom is a huge cheerleader, and when I call her and I say I'm so discouraged, only had two or three people show up, and she said, "But what if those were the two or three that you need?
Yeah.
What if that, like, if you had 50 people show up, and then nope. But what if those two or three need? You might have kept someone from quitting their job.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two or three people showed up. Don't ever get discouraged, by a small turnout. Don't ever get discouraged, by these things. And so I have to remind myself of that. I feel like it's so important sometimes to plug back into the SCEA. Like I like coming to Columbia and sitting at the table with all of us, or getting on the leadership calls, because that's where you get your encouragement from. Sometimes, it is just saying to someone else, I've had a really bad week, or I had this event, and no one came, and I can just hear people now who said to me before, but you had it, but you
Mhm.
had it.
Yeah.
Okay, but so now they know that you're there.
Yeah.
Or you hear people say, it's okay, I had a bad week too, but you know what, next month we're going to do better. And here's some ideas. I think it's important to go back to the people who are also in the trenches with you, and just to be real with them. And that's something I feel like I can be. I know Melody's on the call. That's someone that I can really confide in a good bit. Stephanie West isn't on the call, but she's another person that I can talk to. And President East, of course, you can send her a message and go, well, let's just figure this out, And so I think it's so important. And then you, Todd, I mean, goodness gracious, I just did the mindfulness retreat with you, which was a complete reset for me, which really taught me that it's important for me to take 20 minutes in my morning, which I've been doing, by the way, and just kind of sit and breathe and realize that there's nothing that's going to happen to me today that I can't get through. That the answer is there. There's someone with the answer who can help me. All right, and it's just giving me that perspective, so that I'm not thinking that, oh my goodness, all of this stuff. It's like, you know what? No, the earth still spins. Like, if this doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We'll figure out another way. And that's really been so grounding for me. I didn't even know how much I needed that mindfulness retreat. I went to Costa Rica this summer with the NEA Global Learners. And everybody's like, that must have been like the best experience. It was the second best experience. The first one was that mindfulness retreat. That was such a reset for me. And that has been the thing that even going into this school year, I've had people say, you seem so zen. Like, what's going on? Like, you're usually running around like crazy. I'm like, no, I'll get to it. It'll be fine. And, it's just having that centering, that time in the morning to say, we're good. We're going to be okay. Let's give it our best. And then what we can't get finished today, we'll take care of it tomorrow. And that has just been a game changer. So thank you, Todd. You've been my recharge and helping me stay focused. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And I would also want to give shout out to Yelena Popovich
Yes.
for co-facilitating that retreat with us. And I appreciate you coming and we had 18 folks come to our retreat this summer. And for folks who are interested, just a little side plug here. So we do these retreats. They're 3-day, 2-night retreats in the mountains of North Carolina. Cassie came this June. They're $150 for members, $250 for non-members. And they include your accommodations and your meals and a book and all the training and yoga and all kinds of stuff. So I'm glad that was a good experience for you.
It is worth every penny and then some. I mean, just hearing the description you just said does not do it justice. I promise you, it is so much. You get so much out of it. It is absolutely amazing.
Is that Sonia? I think she says Lola Williams. Was that Sonia? Who is that? Is that who Lola is?
I'm not sure.
Wait. She's saying she's there next year.
Oh, next year. Okay, don't take my spot.
Yeah.
Don't take my spot. Don't play that.
Be on the lookout for that. We'll probably launch that sometime late in the year or early in 2025. And so, okay, it is Sonia. So she's coming. She wants to come back. That's what she's saying.
Yes.
She's gonna make up some more of those Miss Sonia eggs for us in the morning.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, I do want to share one of these questions. So Melody, who is our UniServe director in your neck of the woods, our upstate of South Carolina, this will be the final question. I know we're over time, but
that's fine.
I mean, if you're fine, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
She said, what is the first step someone should take? So if they want to lead. So I think there are, as unique as you are, I think there are, thousands of people, of educators across South Carolina who have a voice, and maybe they're scared to use it, or maybe they're not sure how to use it or how to get started. So somebody's watching this tonight and they're inspired by you, and they're ready to take up that leadership and not sit on the sidelines anymore and let other people fight these battles or cultivate the good in our society. How do you get started?
Join the SCEA. If you're not a member, join the SCEA. Once you have joined the SCEA, find out about your local. If there's not a local, hey, find out. Well, if there is a local, but if your local's not active, reactivate your local. If your local is active, get involved with your local. Get involved. There are so many opportunities for you to lead in this organization, in the SCEA. We need building reps. We need, officers. We need people who want to organize other members. We need people who like to just talk to other people. There is a space and a place for everyone. But my very first step was just saying yes to membership. And once I said yes to membership, then the doors started opening. And you have to understand, I'm just in a season in my life where I can say yes to lots of things. And so that might not be the season that you're in right now. Say yes to what you can say yes to. Maybe you can't drive to Columbia, but maybe you can talk to that coworker next door, or that person across the hall, or maybe you can do postcards and send those to the new teachers in your community, in your school, in your district. There are lots of ways that you can get involved. There's lots of ways to lead. leadership is not a one size fits all.
Right.
Right now, just like I said, in the season of my life, I'm able to drive to Columbia. I'm able to do this, and I'm able to do that, and I love doing it. And it doesn't wear me out. But if that's not the season you're in, say yes to what you can do. There are so many, and there are no small jobs. There's no small things either.
Hmm.
Pretty soon, if not next week, the week after, I'll be buying pizza and we'll be writing postcards to all the new teachers in our district.
Mm.
Um, I've got several friends who are members of the SCEA, but they have school age kids, and so they can't do the Columbia things and they can't get on a plane, but they can bring their child, they can give them a slice of pizza, and we can write postcards to all the teachers in the district. So there are things you can do. There are ways you can serve. I guarantee you, no one at the SCEA is going to tell you we got enough people. No, thank you. We've got things for. There is a lot of work
Yeah.
for that we can do. But one thing that everybody can do is to protect public education.
Yes.
Something that breaks my heart when I talk to aspiring educators is how many times someone in education has told them not to go into education. We got to stop doing that to our field. I love being a public educator. And I think if you're in this field, then let's make sure that we are, I'm not saying to gloss over everything, but let's encourage people into this field. Let's keep people coming. These young people who want to be educators, let's encourage them. Let's support them. And that's something that everybody can do. Believe it or not, that is leadership. Showing up to board meetings is leadership. Just don't get me started, Todd. We can be here all night. There are so many things that you can do that are leadership, but do that first thing. Join
Yeah.
the SCEA.
I think, and here's the thing is, I think people sometimes underestimate the impact they can have.
Yes.
And I think they're scared sometimes to speak up. They don't want to be, open themselves up to criticism. And what I would just tell people who are watching is now's the time. I mean, we're at an inflection point here in the United States and in South Carolina, and our students need us. And somebody said this, I forgot who said this, but somebody said, future generations of American children are begging us from their knees to stand up for them. And,
Oh, yeah.
and we really owe it to them to stand up at this point in history and to do what we can, where we can, how we can do it with
Right.
the time that you have. It's like, and don't underestimate the impact that you can have.
Right.
Even just an act of making sure you're registered to vote and that you go out and vote, making sure that the person next to you that's teaching
Right.
next to you is registered to vote. And just joining the SCEA. And one of the things that's great about being a part of the SCEA is then you don't feel like you're doing it on an island or like you're doing it as alone. You've got a whole team of people from Sherry East and the board and your UNISERV directors and people throughout the state who are standing side by side with you as you do this work, and we can help coach and help you learn how to lead. And I think that's one of the great things that you've taken advantage of is
Right.
all the resources that the SCEA and NEA provides to cultivate leadership. And the last thing I want to say is, when I spoke with Dr. Sean Ginwright last week, he said, and you and I have talked about this, the SCEA isn't just about how can you be better for your students. I mean, that is important,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also like every educator is a human being who deserves to be well. And
Yes.
we have so many people who are leading, but they're wounded warriors.
Mm.
We've got to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
We've got to prioritize our wellness, our mental and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, I mean, if you go into this arena as an advocate and you're wounded, what kind of movements what are we cultivating? What are we building out
Right.
of that woundedness? So it's
Right.
really, he really stresses the importance of, yes, be involved, get involved,
Mm-hmm.
take on the fight, but look at your own woundedness and prioritize your healing. It's really important.
And I think that that's really what this summer was for me. It was just a step back. It was an assessment of myself. I feel mentally rested. I can't even explain it really. Just just that centering every morning. I feel refreshed. I go to work. I'm just really not stressed. I can't explain. I mean, like, I'm not saying like I'm not like stressed, but I'm not where I was. Like, I'm not like, oh, I've got to get all these things. I get everything that I can get done. And and I make time for my students and for my coworkers, and I'm able to model what that looks like for
Yeah.
them. Just that, we'll be okay. We can get this, we can get this done. But and that's what I say. I think that the thing about the SCEA, and especially the Center for Educator Wellness and Learning, is not just about becoming a better educator. It's about being a better human being, just being a healthy human. Like
Yeah.
I said, I don't really like the word better, a healthier, more whole human being.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just what keeps us going. And
Yeah.
and I do hope someone watching is saying, you know what, it's time for me to step in, because you're so right. And yes, when you start to speak out, when you start to stand up, there can be a little bit of criticism, a little bit of spotlight on you. But the beautiful thing is that you've got the SCEA at your back, at your side, at your front. I have never felt alone in anything that I've done. We say together, we are stronger together, we are heard. And that's just not a motto. That's just not a catchphrase. That is something that I sincerely feel. I have never felt alone. If something's really distressing me, I can text, I can get a phone call. I will never forget when last September, when our state superintendent, Ellen Weaver, cut ties with the South Carolina Association of School Librarians.
Yeah.
And I was so discouraged and so distressed, and was really like, devastated. And my phone rang, and I looked down, and it was Sherry East, President Sherry East, calling me. How are you? What can I do? All right. So how's Tamara, who was our president at the time? All right, let me call her. Okay, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. And I mean, that was just like on a Saturday, just a random Saturday. Let me call you and make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
I've never felt alone with the SCEA. I have never felt like I'm facing anything by myself. And that level of support that I received from President East is the same level of support she'll give to anybody. I've seen her do it.
Yeah.
It's not that anything I've done is so special. She just knew that was something that was directly bothering me, and she wanted to check. And so that's what you get with the SCEA. You are not by yourself. You are going to have people at your back, at your side, and in several cases, you don't even realize that they're standing in front of you. And so it's just a very powerful, powerful thing.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you. I really appreciate that. You were at that conference and you just said, "Let's do this. You signed right up, and like, you immediately jumped in like to the deep end of the pool and just started. I'm going to use an Olympics. You were like the gold medal swimmer. You were like you started you jumped right into the pool and really took off, and you took advantage. One of the things that I think you've done is you've really taken advantage of these opportunities. And people know, I don't think people always realize there's so many opportunities at the SCEA to lead, and there's so many resources that NEA provides to help you, that I mean it's kind of silly not to be a part of it. And I mean yes, there's dues, but if you take advantage of the
Mhm.
opportunities, the dues seem nominal compared to what
Yes,
you get out of your
yes.
membership.
I so believe in what we do. And it's easy for me to dive in because I believe this stuff. I believe with every bit of my mind, body, and spirit. I believe in public education. I believe in people. I believe in people.
Yeah.
I believe in loving and caring and standing up for people and representing people. And I think that there are more of us who believe that way than there are people who don't.
Yeah.
And I just, again, I just see the power of what we do. And so it's easy for me to just to dive in. Um, I hope to keep doing this for, for many, many, many years. I love, love, love the SCEA, the NEA. I love what we represent, and I love what we stand up for. We are, educator led and educator driven, and we sincerely believe that good, positive working conditions for educators is a fantastic learning environment for students, and I can see that. So I absolutely 100% believe in what I do. I believe in what we do. And I know that together we are going to make a difference. We are making a difference. And sometimes the media and the world kind of wants us to think that we're not, but I know that we are, because when I walked into my school today, kids were waiting to get back to us. That does not happen if they are not in a safe, secure place where they feel loved, respected, and accepted.
Yep.
And so I know that what we're doing is making a difference. We will continue. I will fight for that. I will preserve that. I've told someone that is the hill that I will die on. I will make sure those kids continue to feel respected, accepted, and seen. So,
Yeah. This is really, to me, at the heart of what this is a battle of love and fear.
yeah,
And I want to be on the side of love. And I know
always.
you do, and so many people that are part of the SCEA and NEA. This is they love people. Like you
Mhm.
said, it's about people. It's about loving educators, loving everybody who works in that building.
Yes.
And when they feel loved and cared for and respected, then they're going to want to keep doing that job, and they're going to do it well, and they're going to be there for the kids because we love them too. And this is what it's about. And we're fighting a fear mindset. Part of me is sympathetic to fear. It's really easy to get afraid
Mhm.
but I think we just have to stay committed to love, and not break down into fear, not give way to fear, or to turn away from it. We've got to lean into it, lean into love, and I think if we do that, I do think ultimately, I don't know the exact quote from Martin Luther King, but the trajectory, the arc of justice, the trajectory is always going to be towards moving towards a better future for everybody. And I really believe that. As Pete said, love transforms fear into more love.
Oh gosh, yes, Pete. I love Pete. I love Pete Stone, and I love all of the content creators. I love the SCEA. Like I said, we're doing this. We're doing this. I
Yeah.
just believe every single day we're doing it.
Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And we'll have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely, anytime. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Have a great Friday tomorrow. Your first Friday of the year. Have a good
My
one.
first Friday. Yes.
All right, everybody. That was Cassie Owens Moore. She's the president of the Oconee County Education Association, a school librarian in Oconee County. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. We had Pete Stone, Stephanie West, Emily Gossett, Melody Bollinger, Sherry East, Sonia Williams. I know I'm probably missing somebody, but just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Appreciate your comments and questions. I do have a couple of things I just want to share with you. One is, if you haven't had a chance to check out Cassie's series on called Cool Books, all you have to do is go to the Cool website. We've done some minor redesigns. I've still got a few pages I need to redesign, but her page and the home page are redesigned. And it's cool.us/books. And you can watch all the videos that she does, all the books that she recommends. And it's just a really wonderful series for you to check out. I also want to highlight a couple of things we have coming up. Coming up on the 13th from 7 to 8 o'clock, Ian O'Byrne, he is a professor at College of Charleston. He's going to be with us talking about bridging SEL and artificial intelligence. A brilliant guy. Had a few conversations with him. I think you're going to find this to be a fascinating conversation. I also want to remind you that Alex Del Castillo, who is a member here in Horry County, does free online yoga sessions every Wednesday night. It's called Wind Down Wednesday. And we take all of those videos and we post them onto the Cool website. You can go to cool.us/yoga, or just go to the cool website. Look for the tab, I think it's wellness resources and then yoga resources. All of his videos are on there. He's on TikTok. He's on Instagram. You can go to Instagram or TikTok, search for the SCEA. You'll find a lot of stuff that he's doing over there. Really great stuff. I want to remind you also that Steve Newsom, a really fantastic, intelligent writer, just has been writing for us various blog posts. And the most recent one, he wrote about the banning cell phones. So it's a thought-provoking article. I really encourage you to read it, and sort of we need to really think deeply about the policies around cell phone bans. And Pete Stone also did a video on cell phones. If you've missed that, Pete's series, also a member from Chester, he does something called Cool Vibes. And these are usually like 2 to 4 minute videos on different topics that I think most educators are going to find interesting. He uses humor. He uses really thought-provoking questions and ideas. It's like a philosophical pondering about a particular subject. And his latest one is about the convocation messages. So as we go back to school, what are we being told, and how does that align with the measurements that schools use for success? Is there a misalignment there? And I think he asks some really salient questions, and I encourage you can go to the cool website and find that. And then another thing coming up, this is a second-year teacher, Jaheim President, who is a teacher cadet down in Ashley Ridge High School from the Charleston area. He's teaching at Berea Middle School now in Greenville County. And he's going to come on and talk about his reflections on his first year of teaching as he enters this second year. So we're going to hear from this early career educator, a really powerful voice. That's going to be October 22nd from 7 to 8 o'clock. I think that's about everything I needed to promote. I just want to thank you for tuning in to this tonight's live stream. If you haven't done so already and you're thinking about it, now's the time to join the SCEA. You can join at no cost. You get the whole month of August for free. Your dues won't start till September. You can go to jointhescea.org to do that and become a part of our movement. Our movement is designed to create the kind of schools that educators deserve. And by educators, we mean classroom teachers, we mean cafeteria staff, bus drivers, custodial staff. Anybody who works in a public K-12 school deserves representation and deserves to be part of a movement to help improve wages and working conditions so that we can create those conditions for the workers in those buildings so those workers can be there for our precious students. And I just want to remind you also that the website for our Center for Educator Wellness and Learning is cool.us. It's CEWL.us. You can find this live stream and all the things that we do on that website. A couple of more comments. Let's see. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your hearts. Thank you, Emily. We appreciate you. President East, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Jean, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Jean Reed, Sonia, who came to our retreat. I hope you're doing well. It was great to meet you this summer. And Pete, thank you. This is amazing discussion and work. Thank you. Thank you, Pete, for your voice. A really powerful and wonderful voice. Thank you, Pete, for continuing to create content for us at Cool. Okay, I think that's about it for tonight. I hope those of you who are returning to school have an incredible year. If you need support, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the SCEA. You can go to the website, thescea.org, find our phone number. Members can call our help desk. You have a UniServe director in each region of the state. You can reach out to your UniServe directors. That information is on our website as well. Reach out to them, talk to them, and we will see you on the next live stream, which is scheduled for August 13th. But you may see us sooner than that. We may decide to do a surprise live stream sometime soon. So thank you so much again for tuning in.